See, how do we install Python IDE? So Python is pre-installed on most of the Unix, Linux, and Mac operating system. Python comes in two versions. One is 2x, the other is 3x. So 2x is almost depreciated, and 3x is the one which is latest. But on these systems, Unix, Linux, Mac, we have Python 2x. We need to write a command to upgrade it to 3x. But if you are a Windows operating system user, you can download Python from this link. That is https www.python.org. Go to downloads page and you can download the Python interpreter. You can go to the you can download the latest version of it. It's 3.11 point something as of now. Now let's first understand how the internal execution of Python takes place. So we do have a source file here that is m.py. Okay. So .py extension here means whatever code we have inside our file, that is a Python file, right? So what's happening next? It is getting converted into bytecode, that is .pyc code. If you see here, m.py has been converted into a bytecode, that is m.pyc, and that is later interpreted by PVM, that is Python virtual machine, at runtime. So what's actually happening here? The source code is getting converted into bytecode, which is later interpreted by Python virtual machine at runtime. So now, looking at this execution, we may say that Python is compiled, right? Because we have a .pyc file generation over here. So now the question arises, is Python interpreted or is Python compiled? So the answer to this is Python is actually both compiled and interpreted to the system end, but it is only interpreted to the user end. So that is why we don't have to go into the internal implementation. We as users only say that Python is interpreted. So we will be using Pycharm IDE for Python. So in order to work with Pycharm IDE, you just need to go to this particular website, that is www.jetbrains.com. So Pycharm is the product of JetBrains that comes in two editions. One is professional edition, the other is community. So professional is paid. You can just go with the community edition and download and install the latest version from here. So once it is done, you can either configure the path, or if you have installed your Python interpreter properly by setting up the environment while installing, then you don't have to actually explicitly write the environment paths. Now let's see how to run Python program. So Python has two different execution modes. One is the interactive mode and the script mode. Now let's first run our Python program to display hello world. So now what I'll do is, once we have installed Python from python.org, what we can do is, once we have downloaded, once we have installed, we can just go to our search menu or start menu. So let me just open. So I'll go to my search menu and start typing Python. So you see I have Python 3.11 64-bit. So I'm going to open this. So this black screen here is a Python interpreter. If you see here, we have three angular brackets or three chevron symbols. And here it's written Python 3.11. So you should not get confused with this as maybe this is a command prompt, right? So this is not a command prompt or a terminal. This is the Python interpreter. So these chevron symbols are indicating that we are inside the Python interpreter. So now what I'll do is, here I'll write down something like 2 plus 2. I want to add 2 plus 2. So once I write 2 plus 2 and hit enter, you see the output I get is 4, right? So the other thing, I would like to try subtraction. So let me say 5 minus 2, and there we go. I get the output as 3. I can try with multiplication as well. Let's say 4 into 6. So here asterisk symbol is used for multiplication. So that should give me the output as 24, right? So now what if I want to print something? Let's say, for example, I want to print hello world. So what have I done? Print function, parenthesis, inside the quotation. I'm using single quotation here if you see, and then closing. So this should give me the output as hello world. Same thing I can do using double quotations as well. So because hello world is a string, we need to enclose that in either single or double quotation. So now you see I get the output as hello world. Let me try printing something else. Let's say hi and hit enter. You see I get the output as hi, right? So whenever we are directly working on the interpreter mode or the Python shell directly, that is known as interactive mode, right? So now there are two drawbacks of using interactive mode. Let me explain you both of them. The first drawback is that, see, whenever I'm writing something, let's say I would like to do 3 plus 4, okay? Once I hit enter, you see I get the instant or immediate output of it. So it means that it is not allowing me to write more than one line of code. It is just executing the single line of instruction and giving me the instant or immediate output of it, right? So this is one drawback where I cannot write a block of code. That is, multiple lines of code cannot be written. That is one drawback. Another is, let's say here in print hi, I was actually supposed to write hello, and by mistake I had written hi. So is it possible for me to go and change this hi to hello? It's not possible, right? Because this is already executed and it remains in the active part of the memory. So what I can do is I can just go and change that particular instruction. So this is my new instruction. I'm not able to modify the code in other words. So now I can say print hello and I get the output as hello. So these are the two drawbacks. The first one is you cannot write multiple lines of code or block of code. And the other drawback is you cannot modify your code. So these are the two drawbacks of interactive code, which is leading us to the interactive mode, which is leading us to the script mode. Now, how will you write the script mode? So what I'll do is I'll simply go and open the simple notepad. And here, let me write a couple of instructions. Okay, so here I'll say print hi. And here I'll say something like print welcome to HKR Trainings. And next line I would like to say is Python is easy. And now let's say, let's learn Python. At HKR Trainings. All right. So now what I have to do is I actually have to go and save this file somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll go to this file, do save as, and I want to save this on my desktop. So here I need to go and give the name of the file. Let's say file1.py. So the extension here is really important. Otherwise your code would be, or your file would be text document by default. So I'm going to save that and let me minimize this. Now what I will do is I will open my terminal, that is command prompt. Okay. So now you see this is my command prompt. This is not Python shell if you notice. This is my command prompt. Now I need to check if Python is present in my system or no. So there are two ways of doing. One is you can go and write Python -- version and hit enter. You see, it says I have Python 3.11.3 installed, right? Another way is you can just go and write Python. You don't have to write -- version. But once you write Python and hit enter, it should take you to the Python shell. So there we go. You see these angular brackets or chevron symbols are indicating that we are inside Python shell. So now again, I'll try doing something like 2 plus 4. That gives me output 6. Let me try multiple subtraction as well. Multiplication, there we go. Now let me say print high, enter. You see, I get the output as high, isn't it? Now I want to go back to my C drive or C directory. What I'll do, I'll say exit. And now I'm back to my C directory. Now, what am I supposed to do? I need to go to the location where I have saved my file. So that is desktop. So I'll do here CD desktop, enter. So I am inside my desktop where I have saved my file. So now how can I execute that? I need to write Python followed by name of the file. So the name of file is file1.py and hit enter. There we go. You see the output is the same instructions that I have written on my notepad. So it's hi, welcome to HKR Trainings. Python is easy, and then let's learn Python, isn't it? So this is how you can execute your block of code. This is also known as script mode, wherein you're writing your code somewhere and you're running from somewhere, right? For this, you can also make use of IDEs like Pycharm or Visual Studio Code or any IDE you prefer and you're comfortable with, right? So now what I'll do is I'll try modifying this code. Instead of hi, I'll write hello here. Once I have done, you see there is a star symbol here. It means it is not saved. So what I'll do Control S. Now it has been saved. Again, I'll go back to my C drive, and here I'll write down the command Python followed by name of the file and hit enter. So now you see it says hello, welcome to HKR training. So you see hi has now been modified to hello and rest of the statements remain same. So this is how you can make use of the script mode. Now we will try to run the code on Pycharm IDE. So I'll just go and open my Pycharm. So if you see, I already have created a project by name HKR_trainings. So this is the main.py script. That is the default script that you get. You even have an option to uncheck this main script. So what I'll do here is I'll right click on the project name, go to new. And you see in Python, we have so many different options. We have an option to create a file, a scratch file, a directory or a folder, Python package, Python file, and we can also create HTML files. So I'm gonna go to this Python file and name this to be something like demo. So here, whenever you're creating a file in Pycharm, you don't have to give the .py extension because the type of file is already Python. So you just give the name of the file, hit enter. You see, automatically it's creating demo.py for us. You don't have to give the extension .py. So now what I will do is, so here also, let me first go and write hi. And this is the area where we will be writing our instructions or our code. This is basically our workspace. And let's say something like Python is fun to learn, right? So now once we have these two instructions, I can go and run this. So how do I run? Because I'm running this file demo.py for the very first time, I just need to go to this run button here. Click on this second run, not the first one. This is already a file which has been selected. It's going to run that file, not your current file. So if I click on this run and I need to click on the demo, and there we go. You see, this is the output console that pops up whenever we go and run the code. So this is the output console where we can see the output as hi, Python is fun to learn. If you want to rerun this code, you can simply click on this green button. You can see it reruns, or you can click here, provided the current file is already selected over here. So let me make some changes, like let me write something else. Let's say hello world. And now when I go and rerun, you see, I get the output as hello world as well. So here you don't have to save your file. The changes are automatically loaded. You don't have to do every time control S whenever you're writing some specific instructions. Now coming to what dynamic binding is. So I already explained you what dynamic binding is. Let's try doing that here. So for example, if I want to store a value 100 in some variable like A, so A equals 100. Before that, if I write A equals 100 semicolon and then print A. Let's go and see what happens. So I'm simply gonna run from here and you see it gives me an error saying invalid syntax. So this is not how we declare or define a variable in Python or assign a value to a variable. So we don't have to explicitly write this. So this goes off. And also the Python syntax doesn't support semicolons here. So I need to remove this. So now I'm going to quickly run. And now you see the output is 100. So this is dynamic typing where you don't have to explicitly write the data type of a variable, but you can know the type of variable at runtime. So how do we do that? Print using type function. So when I say type A and run, you see the output is class int, meaning 100 is of integer data type.